All right, so this next lesson is going to be still talking about solving one-step equations, but this time we're going to have to use multiplication and division to solve these equations. So we're going to look at problems like solve 5x equals 30. So let's look at how we solve a problem like this, 5 equals 30. But there's two things we have to worry about. First off, we got to look at that 5x and figure out what does 5x actually mean. Is it 5 plus x? Does that mean 5 minus x? So when you don't have a mathematical operator like plus or minus or division between that constant of 5 and that variable of x, what it really means is that 5x actually means 5 times x. That's multiplication. Second thing we have to remember is just like on part one, when we're going to solve an equation, what we're trying to do is we're trying to get x by itself on the left side of the equal sign. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and use multiplication division to solve this problem, and we're going to end up with x all by itself on the left side of the equal sign. Okay, so let's go ahead and solve this equation, 5x equals 30. So we want x all by itself. And so what I've got is 5x. That means I have to get rid of that 5. So like we said, 5x actually means 5 times x, or 5 multiplied by x. So we ask ourselves, what is the opposite of multiplication? Think about that for a second. What is the opposite of multiplication? Well, it's division. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the equation 5x equals 30, and I'm going to divide by 5 on both sides. So here's 5x equals 30. And here it is, division by 5 on both sides of that equal sign. So on the left of my equal sign, I've got 5 over 5, or 5 divided by 5, and that's just equal to 1. So I end up with 1x, or just plain old x, on the left side of the equal sign. On the right side, I've got 30 divided by 5. Well, 30 divided by 5 is 6. So my final equation is that x is equal to 6, and that's my solution. All right, so we got a solution of x equals 6 for our problem, but we want to check to make sure it's correct. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that 6 and we're going to substitute into 5x. And when we do that, if we're correct, we should get a result of 30 because we said that 5x should be equal to 30. So here's my 6. There's my 5x. I'm going to substitute it in. So remember, 5x means 5 times x. And so when I put that 6 in, what I get is 5 times 6. And 5 times 6 is actually equal to 30. So yay, our solution x equals 6 has to be correct because we got 30, and that's what we should get. Okay, let's look at a second example. Let's look. See, get it? The guy with the big glasses. All right, so we're going to look at what is the solution of negative 14x equals 56. So again, negative 14x really means negative 14 times x. And secondly, we need to get x by itself on one side of the equal sign. So we're going to end up with x equals some number like 15 or whatever it happens to be. So let's go ahead and get this problem solved. So I've got negative 14x equals 56. Remember, our goal is to get x all by itself. So since I've got that minus 14 there next to the x, I need to get rid of that negative 14. And we also know that negative 14x actually means negative 14 times x. So we've got to use the opposite mathematical operation of multiplication. So ask yourself, what is the opposite of multiplication? Well, it's division. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide both sides of that equal sign by negative 14. And so here's our equation, negative 14x equals 56. And here we are dividing by negative 14 on both sides. So on the left side of the equal sign, those negative 14s actually cancel. Leave me, because negative 14 divided by negative 14 is equal to 1x, which is plain old x. And then 56 divided by negative 14, okay, so we're going to check our solution. We got x equals negative 4 as our solution, but we always want to make sure that we did this correctly. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that negative 4, we're going to substitute it into x, do the multiplication, and we should get 56 as our result if our solution is in fact correct. So here's my negative 4, and here we're going to put it in for negative 14 times x. So now that becomes negative 14 times negative 4, and you get your trusty calculator out and take negative 14 times negative 4. Negative times negative is positive, and 14 times 4 is 56. So since our solutions match, we conclude that. So here we see that our intergalactic grumpy cat leader is confirming to Captain Picard that our solution of x equals negative 4 is in fact correct. So yay, time for celebration. Okay, so it's time to do a little bit of practice on your own. Your teacher may instruct you to work with a shoulder partner. If not, make sure that you work independently. In either case, each student has to turn in their own work, and you have to make sure, please, that you show all your work when you turn these in. Okay, so you can pause the video so that you can record these 10 problems on your sheet of paper. So if you look at these 10 problems, the first 8 are just like the ones we just finished doing where you have to use multiplication division. Problem 9 and 10 are a little bit different. They're like part 1 where we had to use addition and subtraction. We're just putting those in there so you don't forget how to do those. A little bit of review practice. So go ahead and pause the video. Remember, every person has to turn in their own set of solutions with all the work done to get full credit.